Good afternoon again. Hopefully everyone enjoyed the lunch. So we at the National Association of Letter Carriers are very privileged to represent over 280,000 active and retired city letter carriers employed by the United States Postal Service. As most of you know, or probably all of you, our members are public servants, and we devote our professional lives to being of service to our communities. Not only do we provide the essential service of delivering the mail, but we also often act as the eyes and ears of our communities. And we take great pride in the work that we do, and more often than not, our impact goes beyond just simply what our core mission is, and that's delivering mail to the American people. No one knows our communities and our neighborhoods like letter carriers. We deliver on our routes 6 and even 7 days a week. We get to know our customers. We get to know them better each and every day. And there's going to be some special stories. I'm not going to spoil them yet. You'll get to hear them directly from our heroes. Oftentimes, we are the first to realize that something is not right. And we're also often the first to step up and provide some level of help or assistance. So today we're here to honor some very special letter carriers that have been selected as NALC's Heroes of the Year. So first, a little bit about how all of these heroes got selected. Because around this country, every single day, letter carriers perform heroic acts. But this process, every month in our magazine, the Postal Record, that we publish, we have a section dedicated to recognizing those that have performed heroic actions. This amounts to somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 or so stories every year. From these stories, and every one of them are very impressive in their own right, we have a panel of judges that convene, and they have the nearly impossible task of selecting our annual winners. Based on all of these amazing stories, the judges, I can promise you, had their work cut out this year. We're very fortunate that those 3 judges are able to join us today. So I would like to start by introducing them. First, the Union Service Representative at Union Plus, Brea Ellis. Our second judge, the Director of Labor Engagement at the United Way, Keisha Terry. And finally, Program Specialist at the Trust, powered by the National Football League Players Association, Joanne Johansson. Thank you all for taking your time to be with us today, but most importantly, going through the excruciating task of making the very difficult decisions of selecting our winners. Before we move on to welcoming our heroes to the stage, I'd like to recognize a few of the distinguished guests that we have in the room. I think you're all distinguished, but we do have a few special guests that I would like to recognize. First, we are very fortunate to have a number of our resident officers at NALC join us, so I will introduce those that are here in town and were able to be with us. Secretary Treasurer Nicole Ryan. Assistant Secretary Treasurer Mac Julian. Director of City Delivery Chris Jackson. Director of Safety and Health Manny Peralta. Director of Retired Members Dan Toth. He's looking at me like I'm going to make fun of him, but I'm not. Director of Life Insurance Jim Yates. And our Director of Health Benefits Stephanie Stewart. We are also joined by the president of our 3 sister postal unions, the president of the American Postal Workers Union, Brother Mark Dimmenstein, the president of the National Postal Mail Handlers Union, Paul Grogian, and the president of the National Rural Letter Carriers Association, Don Maston. We are also joined by the president of the Transportation Trades Department at the AFL-CIO, Greg Regan, and the president of the National Association of Postal Supervisors, Ivan Butts. We are also honored to be joined by 2 of the members of the Postal Regulatory Commission, the vice chairman of the PRC, Tom Day, Commissioner Ashley Poling, and Commissioner Robert Taub. And we are also joined from the Postal Service Board of Governors by Vice Chair Anton Ajar. I'd also like to recognize a number of leaders we have from the United States Postal Service that have joined us, starting with Deputy Postmaster General Doug Tolino, Vice President of Government Relations and Public Policy, Peter Pastor, the guy that gets to spend too much of his time with us, Director of Labor Relations Policy and Programs or Contract Administration, NALC, or something along those lines, Jim Lloyd. You guys change it too often. And also Director of Collective Bargaining and Arbitration, Jennifer Breslin. We certainly appreciate you all being with us. It's also my pleasure to introduce and ask to come up and say a few words the Postmaster General of the United States Postal Service, Louis DeJoy.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you. You said a few words? A few words. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for having me, and good afternoon. Letter carriers play a significant role in the daily lives of people. They serve every community across our nation, connecting nearly every business and residence with one another. Often, a letter carrier's role may not end when the day is over or the job is done. It may transcend into their private lives. At times, people in the community have looked to our carriers for much-needed continuity after disasters. Recently, during the pandemic, in a demonstration of our role in the nation's critical infrastructure, they looked to our carriers to deliver COVID test kits. Sometimes our carriers are called to go above and beyond the call of duty when something unpredictable happens. Sometimes it requires an incredible act of heroism when our carrier happens to be in a life-altering defining moment and follows his or her instinct to do the right thing above all else. That carrier, despite the personal risk involved, acts selflessly and helps others, making that carrier a hero. Heroes are truly special people, and I am proud to say that there are a great number of heroes within the United States Postal Service. Today, we are recognizing our NALC heroes of 2024 who rose to the occasion, who acted with courage, decisiveness, and urgency, and who displayed those actions under pressure that we all rightly call heroic. I am honored to be here to give well-deserved recognition to those who have gone above and beyond the normal call of duty. You epitomize the ideal of a public servant. Your actions reflect the very best expectations of the Postal Service and of the country. I would like to recognize and congratulate NALC heroes of 2024. I'm proud to be your colleague. May we all live up to the example you set. Thank you for your great work and for being a hero of the United States Postal Service. Thank you.
Thank you, Postmaster General DeJoy, and those perhaps were the shortest remarks you've ever given. Though we very much appreciate you being here to celebrate letter carriers' vital contributions to the Postal Service and to our communities. All right, well, let's get on with it. Our format this year, for those that have attended in the past, will be a little bit different. We're going to give you the opportunity to hear about these stories directly from our heroes. So I think that will really come across as impactful and you know, display the passion that our people have, in particular these heroes. So our first award is in the honorable mention category. We have 2 recipients in the honorable mention category this year. Our first winner is Timmye Crowley. So Timmye, if you would come up. So Timmye is from the state of Montana. She's been a letter carrier for over 20 years, and she is from Billings, Montana, NALC Branch 815. On a very cold and icy, gross day in Montana, she was out delivering mail to one of her elderly customers, and she took his mail up to the door so he would not have to come out and potentially risk falling in the snow and ice and all that stuff. And, you know, that's already going out of her way to some degree. But she ended up doing a whole lot more than just that. So why don't you tell us all about it?
Well, it's a mounted route, so I don't go door to door. It's just out in the street. So I wanted to make sure he didn't come out, slip and fall. So when I walked up to the door, it was late, dark, and I could see him inside sleeping, and I could hear all of his smoke detectors going off, and his house was full of smoke, and he was leaned in his chair sleeping. So I just started banging on the door and ringing the doorbell until he woke up, and he slowly woke him up, but he wasn't sure what was going on, and came to the door, and I went inside and unplugged. His food was on fire. He had started making dinner, and I think he said they left it for like 20 minutes, and it had started on fire, and so I unplugged the griddle he was using and called 911, so got him outside.
How about that? So you saved him.
Yes.
That's what happened. No, it's a wonderful story. So, well, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you'd like to share?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Cool. Well, thank you. Thank you. The second honorable mention winner is Brittany Giles from West Palm Beach, Florida, NALC Branch 1690. So Brittany's from West Palm Beach, Florida. One of the things that the Postal Service in general and certainly letter carriers really take a lot of pride and get into the spirit about is the holidays. It's our busiest season, but we take, you know, so much just pride and love we relish the opportunity to spread holiday cheer. But in your case, you did a little more than just the normal spreading holiday cheer. So tell us about it.
I think that was pretty normal. I grew up in a household that absolutely adores Christmas, so you look at my mom and she is Mrs. Claus. So yeah, this was pretty normal. So we did get letters from a bunch of people. This one kid broke my heart, so I knew that I had to make his Christmas a little extra special.
And you gave him a lot more than just a good holiday.
Yeah, I think so.
Awesome.
I'm a little nervous, sorry guys.
That's all right. That's all right. From hearing this story, I think it became very apparent that the appreciation from him of just basically showing him what love and compassion and the holiday spirit's all about.
Not just him. This was definitely a whole community-wide thing.
No, it's fantastic. Anything else you want to share?
I do have a little speech.
Sure.
I am extremely nervous. There's a lot of people here. Okay. Sorry. I like to cry. As a childhood cancer survivor, granting a child's wish is dear to my heart and comes naturally. Without hesitation, I acted when given the opportunity at the post office by reading letters addressed to Santa in the North Pole. One letter in particular caught my attention because he asked that kids in his school stop bullying him and to bring his family together for the holidays. Upon meeting Cameron through his grandfather after learning he was bullied in school due to being disabled, getting him Christmas gifts seemed like the only initial step. With help from friends, I was able to not only make this child's Christmas magical, but the story got so big, Bikers Against Bullies got involved and they rented out Chuck E. Cheese so everyone could enjoy a fun-filled day. I also involved the sheriff's department so they could speak with Cameron and offered to go to his school and talk to the other children about bullying. And sorry for going really fast through this again. Super nervous, trying to get off the stage. My fortunate background has taught me values such as empathy, which has guided many decisions throughout adulthood, including how to best serve others. Considering my personal experiences, overcoming health-related challenges during my younger formative years has helped me become more active in my quest of doing little acts of kindness wherever possible, simply because I know their small gestures can sometimes change a person's life. As I say, all I can say is a little compassion goes a long way, and compassion does not cost anything. Today should mark another step towards creating a better world for everyone. From personal struggles, we emerge as stronger spirits. Therefore, I dedicate myself daily through simple acts such as answering letters to Santa, or helping someone carry their groceries, or crossing the street, or bringing someone a cake for his 95th birthday, or sending thank you notes to all my U.S. veterans that are on my route because I am a proud veteran's daughter. No task is too big or too small. We all have opportunities, and we can all make a difference. Today, Cameron is the hero, and I am fortunate enough to be his friend.
Awesome.
Here's your mic. I'm over talking.
You are such an inspiration.
Thank you.
And, our world would be a whole lot better if everyone took just a small fraction of the compassion that you display. So
Thank you.
thank you so much, and congratulations.
Here's your mic back.
Okay, next we have our first Vigilant Award. So I would like to call up from NALC Branch 51 in Fall River, Massachusetts, Tommy Howe. So this year we do have two Vigilant Award winners. Tommy is the first of two. Last summer he was out on a really hot day and he saw a man sitting next to a push lawnmower, and you immediately, I guess, recognized something wasn't right, and you went over to stop and see what was going on. So tell us what happened after that.
All right, here we go. So it was the latter end of my route, and I was on boxing pole, and I saw the gentleman not laying down, but sitting down, and there's a lawnmower on top of him. And so obviously I knew something was wrong. And I rushed over to him, and I tried to get him to stand up, and within, I would say, 30 seconds, he went unconscious. And his lips are blue, so I knew he wasn't getting oxygen, and I knew it was serious. And there was nobody around. I couldn't yell for help. And obviously my phone was in my, in my truck, so what I did is I didn't want to, but I did. I laid him down, and I ran to go get my phone and called 911. And there happened to be two roofers, two kids that I didn't see, and so I yelled at them to come down and help me out. I had one kid go up the street and wait for the ambulance, and the other one I grabbed, I said, "You're coming with me." And so for about 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever, they showed up pretty quick. I'm on the phone with 911 and trying to keep the guy alive. And so they came, and they worked on him quick, and originally they thought that maybe he had a heart attack, so they got him into the ambulance. And one of the guys opened up his mouth and saw that his tongue was exploded. So they knew right away that he had an allergic reaction to something. And they stuck him with an epi, and he came to, but you know, a couple of weeks later when I talked to the gentleman, he said he doesn't remember anything for 4 hours after that, so he was in bad shape. But I thank God that he was walking around. You know, if I wasn't there, within minutes, I don't think he would be around. So I just happened to be there. I'm glad somebody was there. It just happened to be me. And you know, I'm honored to be up here in front of all you guys and meeting the heroes from, you know, Colorado and Florida and, you know, New York, which I don't want to mention New York over there, but I'm from Boston, so.
You can have a rivalry even here.
It's a true honor, but it pales in comparison, you know, to seeing, his name is Robert, seeing Robert coming out, you know, with a big smile on his face and giving me a card and you know, talking to me for 10 minutes. You know, I had to stop him. I said, "Hey, Robert, I got to get going. You know, I got to finish my route." It's truly an honor. And, you know, the neighbors got all together and got a couple cards for me. You know, one card wasn't enough to put what they wanted to say on there, so they had to do two cards. So it was quite an honor, and I appreciate it.
Awesome. Great job. Thank you, Tommy. And next, we have the second of our two Vigilant Awards from NALC Branch 201 in Wichita, Kansas. Kyle Mailman. Yes, Mailman is his given name. So, you had not been a letter carrier all that long, right?
No.
And you're kind of, you saw something that wasn't right. And very interestingly, this story somehow starts with gophers. So, why don't you tell us all about it? There's some blanks to fill in here.
There's a lot of blanks to fill in there. I just won this really nice walking route. It was along the Arkansas River on kind of the northwest part of Wichita. And going along the way, I had one house with a recessed entryway and a mail slot on the door. And I got everything ready. I was getting ready to walk up, and I hit the base step, and I could smell natural gas. So I go up to the door, and I hit the floor. I started to choke a little bit with how concentrated it was there in the entryway. And my first thought was, if it's coming from inside the house, this is really, really bad. They might already be unconscious or dead inside. And I knocked on the door, and thankfully Mary was there and conscious, and we started to talk a little bit. And I'd had natural gas poisoning 20 years prior, so I knew a little bit about it. And we started going over the symptoms of it. She was irritable, she was fatigued, she was having trouble comprehending very basic things that normally she could. And I said, get out of the house, get everybody out now. Just leave the front door open, get the gas company over here. They're gonna care more about you reporting a leak than me. So I went on my way. She got the gas company out, and come to find out, they were building this new bridge probably an eighth of a mile away. And when they were driving the supports into the ground, the gophers along the river had started moving into the residential areas. And the gophers had chewed through the gas line right out front of her house. Well, when the gas company came out, they sniffed the property with their gas detecting device, and they had a very significant leak inside the house at a natural gas fireplace, and that's where they had the symptoms.
Awesome. And had you not reported this, who knows what could have happened?
It's a neighborhood full of two-car attached garages, and very few people go out the front door there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Anything else you'd like to?
I'd like to thank my wife, Audra, for her love and support, and my mother for teaching me to go out of the way and look out for people.
Very well said. Thank you, Mr. Mailman. Okay, next we have our partnership award. Our partnership award is given to 4 members of the Vincent R. Sombrado branch, branch 36, in New York City. So they are Ernest Twomley, David Correa, Heriberto Rodriguez, who are joining us here, and also Daniel Weber, who was not able to be here with us today, but we will hear all about Dan in just a couple of minutes. Okay, Ernest, let's start with you.
Okay.
And this one is, I guess the idea started with an experience you had, so why don't you pick it up from there, and however the three of you would like to tell everybody all about this wonderful story.
Oh, okay. Well, there he was in a blizzard, and no. Actually, I was delivering my route, and I come across a family coming out of a cab in the middle of the street. A little girl was standing there screaming, crying, having 3 kids of my own. I know what pain is, and I know what a tantrum was. Now, people around were looking at, you know, a kid having a tantrum, but I saw that she was in pain. Walked over to her and said, "Have you ever been delivered to your apartment by a mailman?" And she just looked up and smiled. So I picked her up, carried her a couple of flight stairs, stopped the little girl from crying. So when I came out of the building, one of the tenants says, "That was a nice thing you did." I says, "Why?" I says, "I just picked up a little girl." She goes, "She just came back from Sloan Kettering. She has a brain tumor, and she had a treatment. So that's why she was in pain." And this was around Thanksgiving, and it just got to me, because I have healthy kids, and here's a child that's 11 years old, and I didn't know she was part of a hospice project, program, but it resonated in me that I want to do a nice holiday for her, make her the best Christmas that she could ever have. So I had her parents write to Santa, make sure I get the letters. Operation Santa. I didn't even know, but it was, you know, we did it. We made the best Christmas that she had ever had. And how we became partners is because when I came back, she had a wish list. The kids had a wish list, and she wanted an American Girl doll. And Herbie could share that story, 2 grown men in a doll store looking for a doll. But we were in our uniforms. But it snowballed from there because from doing one act of kindness, we started one toy drive that led to another toy drive that led to do other stuff as well for the community. We formed an organization called the Better Angels of Our Human Nature because the Channel 2 News, who actually, the reporter, John Matakis, actually called us the Better Angels of Our Nature. And I'm sitting there saying, an umbrella name called the Better Angels of Our Human Nature, where everybody comes together, act of kindness, no matter where we are. Just awesome. And we've been growing every year, getting recognized. As a matter of fact, Hulu picked up Operation Santa Claus, and I'll be featured on that coming Thanksgiving, which was an awesome recognition too. But I'm gonna let Herbie share that running around the toy store.
First of all, let me say I'm honored to be here, and I appreciate everybody that comes down from different crafts and all that. And the important thing is the support, not only us, but the other heroes, okay? When Mr. Twomley came over and says, this is what I want to do, I jumped in right away, because I got kids of my own. So we did go to the American Girl toy store, but we were off duty at that time when we were in uniform, so I just want to make it clear.
Our lunch break.
Went there, got her gift. We also got gifts for her brothers and siblings and all that. But let me also say I want to thank my wife. She's not here. She's busy. Neighbors, friends, because we just didn't do this, but we were doing toy drives as well and fundraising, and they've been there supporting us as well. So it's important that we get the support, because by supporting us, we feel that we accomplished something, okay? And nowadays, we just need something to touch other people's lives, okay? A simple hug. And I love to hug my customers, okay? Because you never know at that moment, somebody is happy, next minute they're not. That moment, they might need just somebody to talk to them or hug them. And it's important, because it's not just about the gift giving, but sharing our lives with others. I've been blessed, and everybody, to me, everybody's born with a gift. How you take that gift, how you handle your destiny is up to you. But to me, personally, and I give God credit, I had 2 great parents that raised me up. But the support that we get and the love, and that's something that I want to share. And I appreciate everybody that came down tonight.
Thank you. So David, why don't you just tell us a bit about what Better Angels is grown into?
Great. So again, that incident happened in 2009, and when we came back, our manager said, you guys should keep up this good work that you're doing. And that's when we pooled our monies together and formed a C5013, the Better Angels of Our Human Nature. And I'm often asked, like, what was the best day of being a better angel? And I always come up with the year 2012, when Hurricane Sandy hit New York. And at that time when it hit, we were getting an award for our Arts and Soul kit, which was a kit for the bereavement of terminally ill children. And we grouped up with the Jewish Hospice program. And that kit was in the form of a mail bag. And it would have their last wishes, their songs, any writings they have. The family would have that moving forward for the bereavement program. And so that day, we were getting an award from that Jewish hospice, and the award was called, well, it's called Bicker Shuma, and that means visiting people in the hospital. That's a Jewish terminology, visiting people in the hospital. But that day we were getting the award was also the day of Hurricane Sandy. And so we all collaborated with our sister station, Gracie Square, Gracie. And so as we collaborated, so we're doing this of getting an award at that event, but we had to run out of that event to do the Hurricane Sandy. We was giving supplies and water to the people that got hit by that hurricane. And we had like a giant truck filled with supplies. So 2 of us had to leave, Ernie and Dee had to leave, but the other 2 stood for the award. And so this next part, I think being postal workers will understand that as we had got the award, and then the next person that got up was from South Africa. And then he just stood there in awe and said, wow, look at these guys. They deliver twice good, because they deliver the mail, which is good letters, and now they're delivering this good fortune. And so thank you.
Awesome. So Ernest, a big piece of this is there was a Santa Claus involved. And as I mentioned earlier, Dan was not able to be here, so why don't you fill in the gaps with Santa Claus and tell us about Dan.
Okay, well, Danny Weber, he's our official Santa Claus. And how he became to be part of us was, one day I'm watching him, and he's a little scruffy, he didn't shave, and I asked him, I says, do me a favor, don't shave for a month. And he's asking me why. I said, just do it, I'll let you know why. So he grew a beard, his hair is white, everything, he looked just like Santa Claus. And I says, you're our official Santa Claus. So that's how he got roped in. Nope, volunteered in. And then we appreciate him every time, because the look on these kids' faces when they see him coming through the door is just priceless, just priceless. Could I say something else?
Yeah, anything else you
good.
guys want to?
I just wanted to say, and I said this last night too, is that 38 years in the Postal Service, this is the most I've felt humbled and appreciated. And I see a sea of people here, and we're all gathering together, and it's wild. Our other heroes, the compassion and the courageousness that they hold. Yeah, we're postal employees, and we go far and beyond. And with the Better Angels, because that is an umbrella, we're looking to take this on a national level. Because in our post office, when we do this every year, between management and the employee, it closes that gap. A little bit maybe, but it closes that gap. Because we see each other on a different level when we're helping someone else. Because it's not only that when we're doing a toy drive, which is the easiest and the biggest that we could do, we do other things as well, with women's shelters and so on. And that's in the work of being reorganized, structured to where we could, do what we could do. But there is a disclaimer. We are not sanctioned by the United States Postal Service yet, but
We got him, we can ask him.
but because we don't want to cross the boundaries, okay? Because every Christmas we put that on when we ask it for donations and stuff like that. We are not sanctioned by it, but yeah, we could take this on a national level. Just think of the eyes of these kids and the children. I mean, you would think just a toy, but then again, we go far and beyond, and that's our postal workers, and we are on the front line. And I appreciate everybody in this room, and thank you from the bottom of our hearts, because it's just awesome.
All right, next up is our Humanitarian Award. And the recipient of that award this year from Camden, New Jersey Merge, Branch 540, Harry Bittner.
First of all, let me say, I was sitting there thinking, who's the poor bastard that has to follow the better angels of human nature?
You're the lucky guy.
Lucky me.
You're used to being a performer, though.
Yeah, I don't get nervous playing music at all. I could play 3 sets of music up here for you guys, no problem. This is a little different.
Yeah, a little different. So,
we'll see how it goes.
Harry is a music lover. Has played in a cover band called Unglued, right? Still does. And that's sort of the beginning of your story. So why don't you take it from there and just tell everybody.
Yeah, you could find us on Facebook, too, by searching Unglued Band. You'll see pictures of us in our St. Patty's Day costumes from 10 days ago. Give us a follow. But, yeah, I've been a part of this band Unglued with my bandmates since, 4 of us have been together since 2018, and another guy joined on in 2019. And sometime in 2020, my singer, Wally Prats, he's had this idea for a long time to decorate like a landscape trailer with Christmas lights and stuff, put a tree on it, and go out and just spread some cheer to people and play Christmas carols and stuff. And the one guitar player in the band, they've been together for decades. He never wanted to do it, and he could never talk Bob into doing it. But when he brought it to the rest of us, I said, I think it's a great idea. I'm in. And matter of fact, I got a Santa Claus already because my best friend looks just like Santa. And I actually kind of coaxed him into becoming Santa by answering a kid's letter on my old route. That's a story for another day. But, the guys were all on board with it and stuff. And this was December of 2020. So this is a time now where everything's starting to shut down because of COVID. And there was a bit of a fear that maybe we were inviting trouble on ourselves, asking people to gather to come see us, even though it was outside and all that. But, I said, well, why don't we make this a fundraising thing too? And nobody's going to give us grief over that. If we raise money and find some people to help with them. And my daughter here, she dressed as an elf and came around with a bucket and collected tips from people. And a friend of ours put us in touch with a retired prosecutor who worked for a nonprofit charitable outfit near where we live in South Jersey. And she was able to find us a ton of families that needed help. And, we were more than happy to take those funds and gift cards and things and get them to these people that really needed it. Eventually it started growing to where we would not only do that, but find out if these folks that were in need had children and what were their ages and sizes. And we would get not just cash donations and gift cards and things like that, but eventually toys and clothes that would fit these kids. And it became much more tailored to the families that we were helping. And so we play this gig usually the second or maybe third week of December, and then the following week we go out with Santa to the homes and surprise these folks and bring them gifts and stuff. And it's pretty humbling, and it's very rewarding to help these people and give them a better Christmas and stuff. I also did this the last couple years while fighting stage 4 cancer. We did our first show in 2020, and I was diagnosed in the fall of 21. And so right away it was kind of like, am I going to be able to keep doing this? And it just kind of worked out. My chemo and my surgeries and all the stuff that I went through was never in December, and it worked out. And I just sometimes wasn't feeling too hot up there, but just had to press on and, help these people out. And, we've raised something along the lines of maybe, $15,000 to $20,000 over the last 4 years, helped out dozens and dozens of families. And I suppose as long as the 5 of us are still together, we'll continue to do it. And we've done it with the support of coworkers and stuff. Sometimes guys, whether they come out to bring their kids to the show and listen to the music and see Santa, or they drop a couple bucks in the bucket or whatever. So that's been pretty cool too. And I can say on a personal note, things are looking up for me. I've had a couple of series of scans here recently in the last year that have been clean. So everything's good. Being able to do all this stuff with the band really helped me. Every minute I learned a song or played a song or played a show or whatever was a minute that I wasn't thinking about cancer, and so that was a real gift to me. And you know, and sometimes when we go out to these families that we're helping, on more than one occasion we've helped somebody who's fighting cancer and having a hard time providing for their kids. So you know, I'm in that unique situation where when we go out to these people and we give them gifts for their kids, I can also give these people a hug and say, keep fighting. You're going to beat it. I beat it. You'll beat it.
It's so inspirational, you know, that you, while fighting the fight of your life, you know, really just continue to push and grow, and we know you're going to keep fighting.
Absolutely.
So, anything else you'd like to say?
Let me see if I can get through this here. I do have some quick notes I want to acknowledge. I'm one of the only heroes, I think, that was able to drive here. I live in South Jersey, so I have a big group of folks here that came, and I would just like to acknowledge them real quick. And I want to acknowledge my bandmates too. You know, I'm probably the only person here who didn't act alone. I mean, of course, the New York guys did this together, but they're all carriers. So I got 4 guys in the band I'd like to acknowledge real quick who obviously were a big part of this. My bandmates, Ryan Catherell, Bob Walker, Jim Incalingo, Wally Pratt. The 5 of us together did this, and it wasn't just me that did this. So I want to acknowledge those guys. And just last month, they did another benefit for a friend of mine who unfortunately died of a heart attack right before Christmas, left behind his wife and 2 daughters, one of them very young. And, you know, you don't have to ask these guys twice. You know, you say, hey, you know, can we play a gig for these people that need help? And we raised $13,000 for this guy's widow and his 2 kids. We had a special guest singer that day, too. I'm going to get to that in a minute. But let me just first say I want to thank my parents who are here. They always set a good example when it comes to helping others. They're both retired, but my dad volunteers at Habitat for Humanity. My mom volunteers at Nemours Hospital. If they were letter carriers, they'd probably be up here getting some kind of award. My brother and sister are here today. I thank you guys for coming all the way down here, taking a day off from work and everything. My daughters, Haley is over there, and Alyssa's over here taking pictures. They were a huge part in helping me get through my fight with cancer. My daughter, Haley, started something called Hope for Harry, where she reached out to a lot of people to send cards and notes of encouragement and things like that. And that carried me a long way in the early days of fighting cancer. She also just gave me the greatest gift of all. My granddaughter, Renley, was born in January. Very blessed to have Haley live real close with her husband, Dan, and they come over a lot with the baby. That also really helped me get through the fight with cancer. My daughter, Alyssa, right here, she's a nuclear technologist at Jefferson in Philadelphia, where I was a patient, so it was always cool to have her come down on her lunch and visit with me, or bring me a Wawa Sizzly instead of crappy hospital food. She was also the recipient of the NALC $1,000 grant for when she was going to college, so now seems like the perfect time to say thank you to the NALC for that. She obviously put it to very good use. I'm very proud of both my daughters. Yeah, it's mostly because my wife did such an amazing job raising them. We'll save her for last. I want to thank my neighbors over here. The Chandlers came down all the way from New Jersey, took the day off. I love you guys. Thank you for coming. My Aunt Mary, my Uncle Joe, who are from Cincinnati, came all the way out, and also to spend time with my cousin Alexis, who is also currently kicking cancer's ass right now. She's doing great. Her and I have really bonded over the cancer battle here recently. I want to thank my shop steward, Tyrone, came down here for today, and our branch president, Chuck Gushin. Chuck is a singer in his own band called Chuck's Alibi, and the day that we did the benefit where we raised $13,000 for my friend, I found out 4 hours before the gig that my singer had the stomach virus, and we had 200 people come in, and the hall was decorated, and Chinese auction baskets had been donated. There was no way we could cancel. I called Chuck. You got a gig tonight? No. Why? What's up? I said, I explained the whole situation. I said, and I can't pay you because it's a charity thing unless I go into my own pocket. And he said, no worries. And he came, and we sat down at the bar and came up with a set list, and he crushed it. So that was a real good example of union brothership right there, man, you know? And this one's going to be hard. Finally, my wife. In October, we will celebrate our 30th wedding anniversary. Just a few weeks ago, we passed 34 years that we began dating. I'm sure when we got married in 1994, she could have never envisioned having to take care of me before my 50th birthday, because I was battling stage 4 cancer. I remember in July of 2022, waking up from an 11-hour surgery, looking over and seeing my wife, and I just winked and said, hey, in good times and bad, sickness and in health. And you really find out someone loves you when you watch them help you change your osteotomy back. I got that reversed 9 weeks later, but that was no picnic. But she never flinched. She even agreed to adopt 2 dogs 3 weeks before I was going to start chemo, and it was so much for her to take care of. But she knew that that would be something that would lift my spirits, and it did. And the best way that I can think of how I felt going into all this uncertainty with fighting cancer and all that is my family's from Pittsburgh. We're all big Pittsburgh Steelers fans. There's a video on YouTube that you can see where right before a game, Coach Tomlin says to Ben Roethlisberger, if we win the toss, I want the ball. If we kick, we're kicking that way. And Ben says to him, you want the ball? They got the #1 defense in the world. And Mike Tomlin just says, I got you. And that's how I felt, because I got you.
Thanks, Harry. Congratulations. Next is our Eastern Region hero from Buffalo, Western New York, Branch 3, Brother Tim Martin.
Hi, everybody.
So, he's got a prop. Did you notice that? You noticed that. So, Tim, I think one of the interesting things about your story is it was on New Year's Eve.
Yeah. New Year's Eve.
So why don't you just pick it up from there?
Okay, thank you. I was delivering the packages and handicaps of a trailer park in the back of a big mobile home park. And I came around the corner, and in front of this trailer, there was a car that was already engulfed in flames. And the driver of the car was coming around. A neighbor came out with a shovel, and they were trying to shovel snow on the car. I jumped out. I took a quick second video, and there was a neighbor standing there. They were also taking videos. So I asked if they called 911. They said, yeah. And within a minute or two, they went from engulfed to raging. And it started melting the siding of the trailer and starting the trailer on fire. So I asked, I knew the guy who owned the car didn't live there. It was an elderly lady, because her mailbox would fill up, and every once in a while I'd drop by to make sure that she's okay. So I'd asked if she was still inside, and they said, yeah, she's still inside. So I just kind of thought to myself, like, nobody's gonna help her get out of the house. Everyone's just standing around filming. So I threw my phone down and I ran around the back of the trailer. The back door was bungee corded shut. There'd been some windstorms. So she must have bungee corded it shut to keep from flying open. Lucky enough, I'm a skinny enough guy. I was able to push it open enough to wheeze in and undo the bungee cord from the inside. I found her the trailer was filling up with smoke. She was kind of disoriented. I saw her shoes on the ground there, slip-on shoes. I grabbed them. I told her to sit down and put her shoes on. Her dog ran by, grabbed her dog. I was like, we need to get you out of the house. It's starting to catch fire because the car's on fire in your driveway. So I asked if she needed anything else, irreplaceable, you know, her purse, IDs, or anything that she needed to grab real fast. So I grabbed her purse, and she stood up, and we took about 5 steps towards the back door, and I got to take a break. I got COPD. And I was like, listen, honey, you can take 1,000,000 breaks, okay? Let's just get out the back door, you know, right over there, and we'll take 1,000,000 breaks, I promise. So I kind of pushed her, helped her, nudged her down to the back door and down the steps. And then we took about 1,000,000 breaks, walking around to the front of the trailer. There was a big rock, so I sat her down there. The ambulance had just pulled up. So I walked over to the ambulance guy and I said, listen, she's got COPD, she's having trouble breathing. She was inside, whatever. So he came over with some oxygen to help her out. You could hear the sirens getting closer. The fire was still going on, but at this point, there's one road that goes in and out, and if I stay any longer, I'll be blocking fire trucks and whatnot. So I kind of pulled down the road a little bit, and just down the street was my handicap delivery, so I kind of stopped to give her the mail. She was outside standing. I gave her the mail. She had seen what I'd done. She's like, I'm going to call the post office, and I'm going to tell them what you did, and I'm going to thank you. And then I called my office to let them know, and then my wife, and then I moseyed on out and finished my route and went home for New Year's, you know.
One thing that stands out to me is you saw the car, but you had the presence of mind to immediately think about who's inside, and you knew her.
Yeah, like I said, I knew that the car that was on fire and the guy that was helping try to shovel snow on it, that he didn't live there. A couple of doors down, he was running errands for her, and he stopped on his way back home, and when they went to exit the elderly lady's house, his car bursted up in flames. So, yeah, so I knew that she lived there and that she needed help.
My granddaughter has to know if the dog was okay.
Dog was fine. Dog was fine. Everybody survived. The house had, luckily they got there in time to save the house. Most of the damage was just cosmetic at that time, and she was able to move back in a couple days later, and still continues to live there. I stop by probably once every couple weeks just to check. We got a special bond now, so I stop to check on our nice lady.
So we all learn as children, typically, some of us even in adulthood, that superheroes wear capes. So why don't you tell us about the cape, and then we'll show it off a little bit.
Showboating around the office a little bit, you know, when this all came out and people started thanking me and whatnot. Just kind of, I told them I'd deliver bills and save lives. That's what I do. It's my job. So my supervisor came up to me, said, the post office is giving you a certificate. Do you want me to give it to you or just mail it to you? Do you want me to present it to you in front of, the whole office? So I kind of was like, like it presented to me, you know, my minute. So the day came and for the stand-up, and he, you know, let me know. So I walked over, he did the award, and then before the award came in, he had ordered a raincoat, and a couple of carriers had mentioned to him, because I've been showboating so much, and they came up with a logo that's it's kind of like Superman mixed with the post office. So he bought a raincoat. Put it on there and then presented it to me with the certificate that morning. And I was just blown away. Like, you know, the certificate would have been enough, but I had to put it on. I was taking pictures, you know, being Superman around the office. I still wear it to this day, maybe once a month or so. I'll be standing in the line at Starbucks.
When you want to fly?
Yeah, standing in the line at Starbucks, wearing my cape, you know, and people are laughing and joking, and I like to bring it out. Like, it's so fun in our office, and like, I can't give my supervisors enough thanks, and fellow carriers. It's such a pleasant environment to be in our office. I've heard stories of some sour offices. So I'm just glad to be part of one that's positive. Everyone gets along, everyone works together, and it's just nice to be a carrier at Hamburg Post Office, New York.
Awesome. Great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's talk to our uniform committee. Start making a lot of capes. All right, next is the Central Region hero from Branch 129 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Dominic Jack. Welcome.
Welcome.
You're kind of from my neck of the woods, pretty close by, so you speak my language.
I do.
So you were out delivering one day, and you heard some commotion and went to see what was going on, and tell us what you found and what took place.
Correct. So I ended up delivering the mail. So right after I delivered the mail, I heard a pop. I thought it was a transformer going out. So I ended up looking if there was gray smoke coming from the back of the house. So I'm like, no, gray smoke, they don't have a chimney. So I ended up getting out the truck, calling 911. While on the phone with 911, I think he was 2. A 2-year-old boy was in the backyard. So I grabbed him, put him to the street. By the time I went back, his sister was screaming, I gotta get my phone, I gotta get my phone. I'm like, is there anyone else in the home? I gotta get my phone. I said, well, at this point here, we're not worried about the phone. Is there anybody else in the house? So then her brother comes out. So I got them to the street, and then the neighbor next door comes out. She was like, well, their grandmother is in the house. I'm like, okay. I said, well, go grab me a wet washcloth and think. So I ended up going, she ended up grabbing the washcloth. I ended up going to the back of the house. The grandmother had by then crawled to the back door. I'm a big guy. So I ended up picking her up and carrying her to the street. By the time I carried her to the street, the fire department still hadn't made it there. The whole entire house engulfed in flames. It was a total loss. It was 4 children and their grandmother.
So from the time you got her out, if it literally had been seconds later, it could have been catastrophic for them.
Yes, sir.
No, that's awesome. Very brave act. Is there anything else that you'd like to share? Well, you did great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Next is our Western Hero of the Year from one of the most beautiful places I've ever been, Branch 642 in Boulder, Colorado, Randy Fields. Thank you. Have a seat. So, Randy, you've been a letter carrier for 20 years or so. I think you were in the office one morning and something happened that, thankfully, very few people have ever experienced. So why don't you tell us what happened and, you know, how you just instinctively took some action?
Well, it was a normal, cozy, easygoing Monday morning. No chaos whatsoever. And I was helping a fellow carrier get some supplies for a customer. And while we're up by the window of the post office in the lobby, we hear this huge crash. Look, and there's just glass being splattered all over the floor. A car had subsequently came through the window, and seeing that, or hearing that, ran towards the front lobby. The car is backing out, then it comes back in, backs back out. She finally stops, and I hear this loud moaning. There's a gentleman on all fours with his arm just pulsating blood. Without hesitation, I took off my belt, ran over towards him, and it was like, I have to stop this bleeding or else he's going to die. There just so happened to be another customer in the lobby, and he's like, what can I do to help you? I said, let's put him on his side. We're going to put a tourniquet on him. We got to leave his arm, elevate his arm, get the bleeding to stop. So we did. I put the tourniquet on. It wouldn't stop bleeding, readjusted it a few times, finally got the bleeding to stop, and sat there and wrenched on his arm, just waiting for the police, the paramedics, and the fire department to show up, which seemed like an eternity. While waiting, this gentleman keeps slipping in and out of consciousness. We kept talking to him, keeping him alert. The paramedics finally showed up. The fire department showed up. They secured the situation. And the gentleman lived. He sustained multiple injuries, 16 broken ribs, a broken collarbone, dislocated shoulder, tore all the ACLs and MCLs in his legs, broke his femur, lacerated artery, and in 2 years, he's going to make a full recovery.
All because you just instinctively jumped to help.
And how and why, I will never know.
That's what we do, right? No, awesome. Anything else you'd like to share?
So you know when you meet somebody and you talk to them for like 15, 20 minutes, then your conversation is pretty much over. He invited my wife and I and our granddaughter to their house. We shared memories of everything that happened that day. From him telling me that he could feel every single bone in his body just crush one at a time, to sitting on the ground on all fours, thinking about giving up. He didn't, I didn't, we didn't. And lastly, thank you to my wife. I put myself in all kinds of situations, and you're always there. Thank you.
Great job, Ed. Thank you, Randy. And finally, our last award is our National Hero of the Year from Branch 1037 in Amarillo, Texas, Philip Moon. So this one's a doozy. You were a very good storyteller. So you're out on your route and see something kind of crazy happening one day. So start from the beginning.
Okay. I was delivering my route and I heard a commotion in the distance. And upon getting closer, I noticed it's one of my customers. I've been on this route for 27 years, so I know almost all of them very, very well. And I recognized her. She was holding a little Chihuahua-sized dog. And she had another dog at her feet that was hers. And she was being attacked by a pit bull. The pit bull was trying to get her little dog. And she kept turning away so it wouldn't get him. So it went after her. And I noticed it was mauling her. It had her by the leg and was just doing this number on her. So I jumped out of my truck and went to help and was able to get the dog off of her by beating on it with my hand on its head. And it turned her loose. And the other little dog she had was darting back and forth trying to get this pit bull's attention. And the pit bull took off down the road after the other dog. So this gave me very valuable time. I was able to get her into my truck, into my mattress, and noticed she was bleeding very badly. So it enabled me to get to my phone, call 911. They told me that I needed to get a compress on this wound right away, and all I could think of was to use my shirt to make a compress. So I took my shirt off and mashed it down real hard to keep a compress on it, talking to the 911 operator. And while I was talking to her, the dog returns, and the little dog's right behind him again, trying to get his attention. The dog wedges his way into my door and grabs the woman by the other leg, bites her other leg. So by now, her husband has heard what's going on, and he comes out to help me. And between the two of us, we was able to beat him off a second time by kicking him and hitting him on the head. We was able to get the dog off her a second time and keep it at bay until the first responders got there. And the EMTs came and right away went to work on her and administered first aid, and the animal control was able to catch the dog and get it in the truck. I know I'm receiving this award for being a hero. I don't consider myself a hero. I'm just very grateful and honored and thankful that I was in a place where I could be of some assistance to somebody in need. And Mr. DeJoy, you'd be happy to know that management brought me another shirt. So I could finish the route. Okay.
With the shirt on.
The mail must go through, right? But that's pretty much it.
You know, the way you view what you did, which is very heroic, but the way you view it is the one thing, as I talked about in the opening, that is consistent every single year with everyone that's recognized. We're thankful for the opportunity to have been able to help someone, but don't view yourself as a hero, but you are a hero.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Anything else?
Well, yeah, I'd like to, Larry and the kids, that dog lived too. The pit bull never got that little dog. That was helping us out. But yeah, I'd like to acknowledge some folks that came here to sharing this with me. It's very special to me, very touching. I look out here and I see so many of my family that came up to be a part of this with me and share this. I'd like to acknowledge some of them. If you guys would stand when I call you now. I want everybody to see you. I want everybody to see the heroes in my life. So first I'd like for my son Chris and my daughter-in-law Stacy to stand up. They came all the way to be with me, also from Amarillo. My sister Marilyn Diane and her family, they came all the way up from Edmond, Oklahoma and Chandler, Oklahoma. My brother Larry and his family, he's from right down the road here in Potomac. So Larry would do anything for me. If I asked him to run through a brick wall, he would, but he would probably put his motorcycle helmet on first. On behalf of my wife and myself, a very, very special thank you to Willie and Diana Williams. These are two longtime members and officers of our NALC Branch 1037 in Amarillo, and they've come up to be every bit of a part of this with us. Willie is, I think, 82 years old. He's fixing to get his 65-year NALC pin. So. And he doesn't get around as good as he used to. He has to use a walker sometimes. But him and Diana went through every bit of this with me, some of it required a lot of walking. And they made this long trip. And from me and Dixie, I want you guys to know what it means the world to me. You guys will never know. Last but not least, I want to say thank you to my wife. She's been by my side through everything I've ever done or everything I've ever tried to do. And she's put up with me for 47 years. So I appreciate her. Thank you, honey. I guess that's it.
Well, congratulations again.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, sir.
What a special group, huh? I'd just like to once again thank you all for being here. This is an important event for us every year, and I hope that every one of you in this room, have taken away a sense of pride and hopefully some inspiration from hearing the wonderful stories. Especially want to thank our heroes, of course, and all their friends and family. I think we may have set a record for the number of friends and family that are here, which is a very good thing. And like I just mentioned, there's one thing that's always constant with these heroes is they don't think what they did was any big deal. And I think that very much exemplifies the spirit that the city carriers that we were privileged to represent display day in, day out. I would like to do a couple of thanks. First, I want to thank, she hates when I do this, so I'm going to do it anyway, our NALC event planner, Kim Akato. Also, assistant to the president for community services. She has the primary responsibility for everything to do with all this Heroes program, and she's been up here running around doing stuff all morning. Crystal Smith. And even though she was not able to be with us, I should certainly thank our Chief of Staff at NALC, who is very involved in the coordination of everything that happens like this, Corey Blaylock-Keller. And I think I can speak for everyone in the room in sharing the inspiration that we take from what we just heard from each of you heroes. So one last special thanks to all of you. How about one more hand for our heroes? So that will conclude our luncheon. Thank you all once again for attending. I hope everyone enjoyed it and has a nice, safe, hopefully dry afternoon. Thank you all.